Okay. Um, you guys are probably watching this on Saturday, so happy Sabbath, guys. Let's see on my phone. This is the last thing you have to do to become health masters. I'm very proud of you guys, and I hope you do well in this test. Remember to go and check out, make sure you done the other tests. I will send a message in the group for everybody their names and the test that they haven't completed yet. I want to have completed, you will find you'll be a health master and you will have earned the health master award. Okay, so we first starting with the blood and the body's defenses. I'm going to give you basically a rundown on 3 honors that you'll have to get. Although I really need is the 2 honors, but this honor requires another honor. But the honor is small, so let's do 2. The exam will be short, 15 points, 5 points for each honor. Okay, so let's start with the microscopic life honor. So this basically you have to, the first thing is these 4 major types of microscopes. What are the characteristics of each? Be able to identify the different types of microscopes and pictures, or visit the laboratory in a university or industry which has these microscopes. So the microscopes you basically have to know about the compound microscope and the electron microscope. That's what you find in television. Well, okay, you never find an electron microscope, but the compound microscope, yeah. So the compound microscope is the classic form of a microscope which uses optical lens to magnify the specimen for observation. And we've spoken about magnification before in the optics honor. Okay, and the second type of microscope is the electron microscope. The electron microscope is a type of microscope that uses electrons to create an image of the target. It has a much higher magnification of or resolving power than normal light microscope, up to 2 million times more, allowing it to see smaller objects and details. Now, fun fact about the electron microscope, things have to be dried before you use it. Okay? So you can't use an electron microscope on, like, let's say somebody's skin. As like, if you're using a leaf, you have to dry the leaf first. Okay? Be able to identify the different parts of a microscope and explain or demonstrate the function of each. So here's the microscope that they were talking about. The eyepiece or ocular. The part of the microscope that the user looks into, it contains a lens called the ocular. So here, the ocular or the eyepiece. 3, the objective, another lens located near the specimen to be observed. Here. Number 2, the nose piece is a part of the microscope that the objective lens attached to. Sometimes the nose piece houses a prism whose function is to bend light from the image so that the user can sit comfortably instead of hunching over the microscope to look straight down on the specimen. Once again, we've spoken about the bending of light in the optics honor. The stage, which is number 6 here, that's flat part that the object would be on. The stage is a platform where the slides are mounted. Okay. Diaphragm is an apparatus located beneath the stage. It focuses light into the specimen. All right. You have the base, the bottom of the microscope on which the rest of the instruments rest. So that's the base. You have the focus knobs 4 and 5. Okay. And they adjust the distance between the ocular and the objective lens. This brings the specimen into focus. So of course we're talking about the focal length, and if you're on the converging lens or whatever lens they are there to work, these ratios have to work out. The object length, the image distance, the object distance, focal length of the lens that they're using. Okay. Know how to calculate magnification of a compound microscope. Calculate the magnification of the microscope you use for this honor. Okay. So for the optics honor, we've spoken about how to calculate magnification. It's image height over object height, or image distance over object distance. Okay, and magnification has no units, so we can't do this because we don't have an actual microscope to work with. But you guys know that. Determine the following microscope terms. Slide covers the wet mount. Okay, you guys do not have to know this. Some terms I'll probably okay. Let's talk about unicellular. An organism that has only one cell, so like an amoeba. Multicellular organism is made up of more than one cell. Humans, animals, plants, fungus, all that kind of stuff. Cilia are hair-like appendages around the edge of a cell which allow the cell to propel itself through water. Flagella is a whip-like structure at the end of a cell that allows it to swim through the water. So sperm have the flagella. Um, you've probably heard about cilia before. I think I've spoken about it when I was referencing the circulatory system as we were doing the heart and circulation. So the cilia are these small little hair-like projections, um, and they basically clean out the air before it goes down the tract and stuff like that. We also have cilia in the fallopian tubes actually, which help the mature egg go down before it goes to the uterus. Okay, let's talk about cells. So the cytoplasm is basically the clear watery substance that contains all the organelles. The organelles are the different structures in the cell. The nucleus, which contains DNA, genetic information, that kind of stuff. The cell membrane, which is partially permeable. So the cell membrane basically controls what goes in and out of the cell. The ribosomes, which control protein synthesis. I can never pronounce that word. Synthesis. Protein synthesis. You'll get what I'm saying. Let me spell that word on there because my pronunciation is horrible. Say Franklin. You'll have to forgive me. Synthesis. Right. So that's what happens in the ribosomes. Okay? Nuclear membrane is above your pay grade, so I will not explain that. Next. Know the kingdoms that have microscopic life forms and note two members from each. Okay, what's basic? Okay. Animalia. So flatworms, tapeworms. Tapeworms, you'll find that that's parasites you can find in your stomach and stuff like that. Plant spores, green algae, plant here, okay. Fungi, yeast, you know how to use that in bread. Okay, how the yeast work is, well, I have to explain this. I should not explain this. Basically, they respire anaerobically to release carbon dioxide, and the carbon dioxide raises the bread, and that's what causes the bread to rise. And it dies, the yeast die when you put it in the oven and stuff like that. Okay, so I cannot pronounce this word. Oh no, that's eubacteria. Pronounce eubacteria. And this word here, which I cannot pronounce, but when you were doing digestion, I spoke about a bacteria that uses the sugar that's left. You can brush your teeth. It uses the sugar, it metabolizes it, and then it excretes these acids that eat away at the enamel. That is the bacteria that does that. Okay. Give an example of microscopic life with. Give at least one example of how microscopic life is important for human food, human health, medicine, other organisms. So human food. Living bread and cheese would not be possible without microscopic fungi, so I've spoken about that. Human health. Most bacteria is actually healthy for human health. The stomach is filled with bacteria which help break down food. However, there are bacteria which cause illness, including strep, staph, salmonella, and E. coli. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Viruses are another form of microscopic life that can cause illness, including the flu, the common cold, and HIV/AIDS. So medicine, we have penicillin, is a fungi that is also a powerful antibiotic. I did not know that. There's vaccination, is the process of administering weakened or dead disease causing microscopic life forms into a healthy person or animal with the intent of conferring immunity against a targeted form of a regulated disease agent. So basically, they put a little bit of the disease in you, so your body knows how to fight it. Your immune system creates the cells and knows how to fight it. So that if you actually can get the disease or an area with the disease, you can better fight it off. Give at least 3 health habits which have been established as a direct result of harmful microscopic life. Put these habits into practice. Washing your hands. Okay, so COVID is another example of this, but washing your hands is important. Remember this. Brushing your teeth, of course, because the streptococcus, I don't know if I pronounce it right, but you gotta remember the S bacteria. The vaccinations, So polio and smallpox were both eliminated as a result of vaccination programs. Clean clothing. Changing into clean clothing every day, particularly the socks and underwear, can prevent sicknesses such as athlete's foot and jock itch. Okay, I went through this really quickly because this honor is not really difficult or anything in depth. It's really shallow knowledge you have to have here, and it's just a requirement for this honor. So by completing the test, yes, you'll earn this honor, but the main prize is not this honor, it's this one. Okay, this one is the one you're going to do after. So now that you have the knowledge from the microscopic life honor, we can start the requirements for the blood and the body's defenses. Name two major components of blood. What is the percentage of each in normal blood? So human blood consists of 45% blood cells and 55% plasma. So plasma is the liquid part of the blood. Um, it contains hormones, vitamins, water, um, what else? The products of digestion, so the glucose and everything, amino acids. Well, not amino acids. But all kind of stuff. Okay. Be able to draw pictures of and name 7 types of blood cells and indicate what each type does. Okay, guys. So we're going to go really basic. You have to know about red blood cells. Yes. You have to know about platelets. Yes. You have to know about lymphocytes. Sure. The rest, no. Above your pay grade. Okay, so blood cells are treated with a staining agent before they are photographed so that identifiable measures will stand out. So red blood cells, I call them RBCs, are responsible for transporting oxygen to other cells in the body and for collecting carbon dioxide from them for disposal. Red blood cells can be identified by their donut shape. So basically, red blood cells were normal cells, but then the nucleus gets taken out somewhere in the process of being produced, and they get that biconcave shape. So they get that little, if you turn them to the side, you get this little shape, right? On this like indentations, so that it can actually hold more oxygen. Now what happens is that carbon monoxide, which is normally released by vehicle exhaust and this kind of stuff, it actually binds to the red blood cells better and faster than oxygen. So when you inhale that smoke, you're actually reducing your oxygen carrying capacity of your red blood cell. And that's why you can feel lethargic or your head starts to hurt or you feel a little bit dizzy because you're not getting the oxygen that you need. Okay, so platelets. These are also called thrombocytes, are the blood cell fragments that are involved in the cellular mechanisms that lead to the formation of blood clots. Platelets appear in most of the photographs above as tiny irregular bluish specks. So they have that here. So we've spoken about that when we were doing bones. There's the megakaryocytes in the ends of the bones. That basically it's a huge cell, but it breaks off to form the thrombocytes. Thrombocytes are platelets. Okay. Lymphocytes are fourth type of white blood cell involved in the human body's immune system. There are two broad categories of lymphocytes, namely T cells and B cells. T cells are essentially important in cell-mediated immunity, which is the defense against tumor cells and pathogenic organisms inside body cells. They are also involved in rejection reactions. B cells, in the presence of an antigen, a substance that stimulates an immune response, can become more metabolically active and differentiate into plasma cells, which secrete large quantities of antibodies. Lymphocytes have no granules and they have very large nuclei that take up nearly all of the cell's area. Okay, so this is important, but for your level, all you have to know is that there are two types of the white blood cell, basically. You have your lymphocytes and you have your phagocytes. Basically, once a pathogen gets into your blood, the phagocytes will go in first. The phagocytes are like, I don't know, like the guy with the guns. It comes up basically, it basically ingests the entire pathogen, breaks it up, mash it up, and the little pieces that are left of the pathogen is what the lymphocytes come after. Because the lymphocytes produce all kind of antibodies to just fight off the pathogen. Okay, but the lymphocytes also create the memory cells that will remember what the pathogen looks like. So next time it is less time to respond. Observe some preserved human blood under a microscope. Count 100 red blood cells and draw a graph showing the number of each of the 5 types of white blood cells you found. Which type is most common, which type is least? Okay, so looking at the graph that they have it for us conveniently, lymphocytes is the second most common thing. Okay? Do at least one of the following and report on what you observe. Observe blood being drawn from someone's arm by a medical professional. This requirement can be okay. So I'm sure in your time in Tunisia, you've seen your mother go and give blood, or some uncle or some relative go and give blood. Okay, so that's a requirement. I'm sure you've done individually. What two gases are transported by the red blood cells? Explain why blood appears blue/green in your veins, but if you cut yourself, the blood that comes out is bright red. Explain why a lack of iron in your diet might make you have yellowish colored blood. Okay, let's find out. So RBCs transport oxygen to the rest of the body and carry the carbon dioxide away. Blood carrying oxygen appears bright red. When you cut yourself, your blood is exposed to oxygen in the air, and this is sufficient to cause it to turn color. When little oxygen is present in the blood, it is still red, but is much darker, tending more towards black. Blood is neither blue nor green inside your vein, but it appears this way sometimes because the veins themselves and pigment in your skin impart a bluish tint. So blood carries oxygen by letting it bind loosely with iron. Without sufficient iron in the blood, its oxygen carrying capacity is reduced. So I've spoken about oxygen carrying capacity before. Since oxygen is what makes the blood bright red, it cannot assume this color without iron. So the blood plasma is yellow. So when the red blood cells cannot impart the color to the blood with full power, the underlying color of the blood plasma has a greater influence. Okay, explanation. There is something called hemoglobin in your red blood cells. In that concave shape, there's hemoglobin in there. Hemoglobin is a protein with iron at the center of its molecule. Iron is the main thing you need for hemoglobin. Okay, when the blood passes in your lungs, in the capillaries in your lungs, right, to get the oxygen that you breathe in, the oxygen binds to the hemoglobin, forming something called oxyhemoglobin. And let's say it gets to the cell that it wants to give the oxygen to. So let's say it gets to a place in your abdomen or whatever. It wants to give the oxygen off. It's bind loosely, like they said, so the oxygen can just go off to the cell. And of course, the cell is respirant, so it uses the oxygen and produces carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide diffuses into the red blood cell, and basically, it forms an acid. The acid ionizes, and then it gives off a carbonate ion, which goes into the blood plasma, and the hydrogen ion that's formed displaces the oxygen, and then the oxygen goes off. So first, sorry, I said in the wrong order. The carbon dioxide comes, it diffuses into the red blood cell, it forms the acid, it ionizes. Okay, so the carbonate part comes out, goes into the blood. The hydrogen carbonate, right, goes off into the blood, and the hydrogen ion part displaces the oxygen, and the oxygen goes into the cell. So basically, it's a thing. You need the carbon dioxide to come into the red blood cell so the oxygen can come out. Right, so that's one. Why it appears bluish green in your veins? Because of the tint of your actual blood vessels themselves, and because of your skin. They impart a tint on the color of the blood that you see. One. The last part. Why a lack of iron will make you have yellowish colored blood? We're saying the color of the blood plasma is yellow, and if you don't have iron, then you can't hold the oxygen. If you can't hold the oxygen, then you cannot get that bright red color. So if you can't get, in the absence of that bright red color, the blood will seem mostly yellow. Okay? Next. Explain how blood clots when you are injured. What does typical first aid help in the process? Okay, so let's read. Clotting occurs in two stages called primary hemostasis and secondary hemostasis. Primary hemostasis begins immediately after the wall of a blood vessel is broken. Platelets in the blood bind to proteins called collagen, which is formed in the blood vessel wall. Normally, the collagen is hidden from the platelets, but when the blood vessel is broken, it becomes exposed. When the platelets bind with the collagen, it forms a plug with slow flow of blood through the break in the blood vessel. Secondary hemostasis, which takes place after over the next couple hours, a protein in the blood called fibrinogen is converted to fibrin, which is long and string-like. The fibrin forms a which makes the clot larger, eventually sealing the break in the blood vessels. Typical first aid for bleeding concentrates on slowing and stopping the blood flow from the wound. If the blood is allowed to pool around the wound instead of flowing out of it, more platelets and fibrinogen is available on the scene, and the clot can form quicker or more quickly. All right. Um. So recap. Basically, you have the collagen, which gives the blood vessels this elastic kind of um, structure. So in the blood vessel, it can pulsate and the blood can go smoothly through your blood vessel. When you cut your skin or you cut a blood vessel, the collagen in the walls of the thing are exposed. It calls the red blood cells. The platelets. The platelets bind to it, and that's what they call primary hemostasis. So basically, it forms like a kind of temporary clot. Now, the also what they call that vasoconstriction also takes place. So the blood vessels will actually constrict in the area where it's cut to try and limit the amount of blood that's lost to the body. Okay. Now, what will also happen is that a bunch of reactions will take place above your pay grade. But basically, the fibrinogen will be converted to fibrin, like they're saying here, which is like a long string-like thing. It will form like a kind of mesh, which the platelets get caught up in, and it forms that kind of plug that stops the wound from the blood from rushing out. So what does it mean to be a blood donor? If possible, know your blood type, what type of blood can be donated to you, which type of blood cannot be donated to you. Okay, what you have to know, there is there's a universal donor, which is if you have O blood, and there's the universal acceptor if you have AB. Okay, so you guys, I guess you should find out what kind of blood you have for sure. Alright, so number 9. Tell 2 stories in the Bible in which blood is involved. From what you know about blood, why do you think that the Bible uses blood as a symbol of God's saving power? Guys, honestly, if you've read anything from what I've said, the blood is pretty amazing. It transports everything. It's your life source. Your blood is literally your life source. You cannot live without your blood. You will die the second you lose too much blood. You can live without an arm, you can live without a leg, but you need your blood. Okay, guys, it's people literally can be dying and they give them blood and they live. That's saving power, and that's why they represent God's saving power. Okay, list 10 specific health habits that help your body stay healthy and fight off infection. Give a reference from the spirit of philosophy that supports each one of these. Keep a record for 3 weeks of how often you repeat those 10 habits. So there's proper diet, fresh air, get plenty of sleep, avoid caffeine, do not drink alcohol, do not use tobacco, be happy, guys, regular exercise, regular bathing, guys, wear clean clothes, and keep your home clean, not throwing shade for anybody. Okay, number 11. Define the following terms related to the body's defenses. So immunology, a branch of biomedical science, that covers the study of all aspects of the immune system of all organisms. Okay. I've spoken about the memory cells, a type of lymphocyte, the antibodies, a protein used by the immune system to identify and neutralize foreign objects like bacteria and viruses. Each antibody recognizes a specific antigen unique to its target. A pathogen, a biological agent that causes disease or illness to its host. That's basically all you have to know. So number 12. Poison ivy and poison oak are encountered by active Pathfinders. Be able to identify that is useless to us in the Caribbean. Make a list of as many possible infectious diseases that you have had. Which ones are you now immune to? So a common example is chickenpox. I've never had chickenpox, but my parents have. And I want to go through my entire life without having chickenpox. But it's basically one of those things where once you get it, you can't get it again. And that's a good example of your body learning to fight it off and stuff like that. Okay? From your personal medical record, if you guys can get that from your parents, that would be nice to study, I guess. List all of the vaccinations that you have had and determine from your doctor when your next vaccination will be. So I think in grade 6, I remember grade 6 I got a shot. I didn't know if still do that. I think 3 grades, I think, yeah. But basically you get that shot in grade 6 because you're about to go into a whole new environment, well, a whole different class of children. You know, it's rough in secondary school, literally for your health. So you get these shots, you get extra boost. And I think that's your last shot. I think it is, right? There is tetanus. Of course, I know about that. We live in the Caribbean. What is AIDS? How is it spread? Is there a cure? Why is it so devastating? This is important. So AIDS is an acronym for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome or Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndrome, and is defined as a collection of symptoms and infection resulting from the specific damage to the immune system caused by the infection from the human immunodeficiency virus, commonly called HIV. So, simple thing, guys, basically, HIV is the problem. Once you get HIV to a certain let me read everything. For this one, I want you guys to have everything. Okay? What did I stop? So although treatments for both AIDS and HIV exist to slow the virus progression in a human patient, there is no known cure. AIDS is the most severe manifestation of the infection from HIV. HIV is a retrovirus that primarily infects vital components in the human immune system, such as certain T cells and macrophages. It also destroys T cells, as T cells are required for the proper functioning of the immune system. When enough T cells have been destroyed by HIV, the immune system barely works, leading to AIDS. The symptoms of AIDS are primarily the result of conditions that do not normally develop in people with healthy immune systems. Most of these conditions are infections caused by bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites that are normally controlled by the elements of the immune system that HIV damages. Nearly every organ is infected. 3 main transmission routes of HIV have been identified: the sexual route, the blood or blood product route, and the mother to child vertical transmission. So let's hear about each sexual route. The majority of HIV infections have been and still are acquired through unprotected sexual relations. Sexual transmission occurs when there is a contact between sexual secretions of one partner from the rectal, genital, or mouth mucous membranes of another. Okay? Now, mucous membranes, everything talking about, I know the uterus and vagina are actually lined with mucus, the walls are actually lined with mucus. Depending on where the woman is in the menstrual cycle, it can actually help the sperm sign swim up. They should have a reproduction on it, but anyway, let's not go into that right now. So sexual route, guys, stay pure, marriage, you know the Bible says. Number 2, blood or blood product route. This transmission route is particularly important for intravenous drug users. So you know when they inject the thing into the um, hemophiliacs, and recipients of blood transfusions and blood products. Healthcare workers, nurses, laboratory workers, doctors, etc., are also concerned, although more rarely. So basically, working in the fluids, that's what basically gets you HIV across. Okay. Also concerned by the fact are people who give and receive tattoos and piercings. Of course, they don't normally clean those needles and stuff like that, guys. So make sure you do. Okay, I'm not taking tattoos. No tattoos. Period. Period. But if your life ends up so going that way, which I pray does not, clean the needle. Because the only thing worse, there's nothing worse you shouldn't leave the church. But avoid HIV/AIDS. Next, mother to child routes, vertical transmission. The transmission of the virus from the mother to the child can occur in utero during the last weeks of pregnancy and at childbirth. Breastfeeding also risks infection for the baby in the absence of treatment. The transmission rate between the mother and child was 20%. However, where treatment is available, combined with the accessibility of a cesarean section, which is a C-section, this has been reduced to 1%. So basically, before the rate was much higher for a person with HIV or woman with HIV to have a child, it was very likely that in birth, especially if all the fluids and stuff going around, the child would get HIV too. But thanks to science and development and advances we have made through the years, there's a higher risk of your child getting Down syndrome, your child developing Down syndrome, than actually being born with HIV. Okay, so this is the good thing. So remember, HIV is what you're really worried about. But if you let HIV go and you don't take care of yourself, you can develop into AIDS. And what AIDS is basically it basically compromises your immune system, so you cannot fight off. So a flu can turn into pneumonia, all kind of stuff can happen like that. Okay, so normally we have our Bible references I want you guys to read. I hope you guys do. And that's basically the second honor down pat. So third honor, basic rescue. This honor is short. Okay. So what is the definition of an emergency rescue? A rescue is the act of removing someone from danger. An emergency rescue is the technical term for a rescue taking place under hazardous circumstances and with high risk to the rescue personnel, but must be done immediately to save a person's life. In this type of scenario, to say a person is in immediate danger may be understated. Normally, if not removed from their circumstances as quickly as possible, the victim will die quite soon. Technical rescues and rescue are descriptive of many types of situations. In all cases, the victim is in danger. A cut of a tree or an otherwise uninjured person stuck in a crash car are not likely to die in moments, but will need to be rescued from the circumstance by someone with the means and skills to do so. So how to safely rescue someone from the following situation? Let's go number 8. Being in contact with a live electrical wire. First, it's saying do not touch the person who comes into contact with the live electrical wire. If you do, the electricity will flow through your body and there will be 2 victims instead of 1. Guys, if someone is in contact with a live electrical wire, do not touch them. Humans are conductors, apparently. Instead, if you can quickly turn off the power source, do so immediately. If it cannot be turned off quickly, try to knock the wire off with something that does not conduct electricity. So that's a shoe. Make sure you take it off first, guys. Common sense. They also say you can use a wooden broom handle, a wooden chair. You can use plastic, guys. I don't know, roll up your shirt and hit the thing. I don't know. But once the victim has been separated from the electrical power source, check for breathing. And if the victim is not breathing, begin artificial respiration. So they say mouth to mouth. So basically, guys, do not touch the person. The thing will go to you and there will be 2 victims instead of 1. Do not touch the person. The first thing, I know you probably won't be emotional in that situation, but try to get away from that, the emotion. First, go for the power supply. You cannot turn it off. make sure you get it out of the person's hand or whatever, however it's in contact with, get it out of the way. Okay, next situation. A room full with fumes or smoke. In a fire, a person is far more likely to die from smoke inhalation or than from exposure to flames. There are two things to remember about smoke. It rises, and if you inhale enough of it, it will kill you. Therefore, if you find yourself in a smoke-filled room, get down and crawl. If you can, cover your mouth and nose with a wet cloth to help filter the smoke and keep it from entering your lungs. If water is not available, use a dry cloth because it's better than nothing. Make your way to the door, and if it is closed, fill it. If it is hot, do not open it, as this means there is fire on the other side. Try to find another way out, such as windows, doors, or another exit. Okay, so you will see firefighters coming in through the window on the side with a ladder and stuff like that. That's what you're talking about. So what they say, guys, a room filled with smoke, the smoke rises. So stay on the floor, crawl, cover your mouth with something moist. You can't get that, cover your mouth still with whatever you have and find a way out. Okay? Clothes on fire. Get the person on the ground, roll them over and over on the ground. Another option is to wrap the victim with a blanket, coat, or jacket if one is handy. If your own clothes catches on fire, stop, drop, roll. Do the same thing to yourself as you would want someone else to do. So stop, drop, roll. Well, I've heard this before, I don't know why I'm exaggerating this, but it sounds cool. Next, drowning using a non-swimming rescue. Unless you have been trained to properly do so, avoid swimming with the assistance of a person who is drowning. I know, I cannot swim, guys. I know I didn't bet on I cannot swim, it's embarrassing. A drowning non-swimmer is typically in panic. Yes, I have almost drowned and I have been in panic. And may grab onto anyone or anything you can reach in effort to support their airway above the surface of the water. If the victim submerges the rescuer's life is endangered and the original victim has no one to assist him. So they're saying the same thing they were saying in Ada about not touching the person. Basically, guys, if you want to save somebody, you have to make sure you save first to help the person. Okay, that's the important thing you have to remember. So instead of entering the water, do one of the following. Take the victim in, coach them to keep their legs. Throw a life ring or life jacket or some other flotation device to the person. Reach an item such as a rope, pole, or a paddle, and once the victim grabs it, pull them in. Wade into shallow water, attempt the above. Okay, so they're going to the shallow water and then throw them a line or whatever. So row out into the victim on a boat and use powered craft if possible. Try the above from the boat. Okay. Yeah. That's simple, guys. I mean, it's not simple, but it's a hard situation. But the steps are simple. Make sure you're safe, because if the person kills you, nobody else saving them. 2 deaths is not as good as no death is what we want. Right? Ice accident. The first rule for performing an ice rescue is to not run out to the victim. Guys, they keep saying this. Do not do this. Do not do that. Do not risk your life. I mean, you are risking your life, but do so in a reasonable manner. Okay? You have to be alive to help the person fall out of that after them. Remember, the ice was not strong enough to hold one person, so it is very unlikely that it will hold you. That situation will probably never be in. So I don't know why I'm doing this. And ice accident. Okay, let's move on. Number 3. So 3 ways of attracting and communicating with rescue aircraft. Alright, so we're saying make a distress signal. The rocks, we've seen this in movies, guys. We gotta talk about this. The rocks. Yes, make it a sign so anybody flying over will see. Light 3 fires. Okay, that's true. Let's make a big bonfire. Right. You don't have to do a fire. I have to explain this. Signaling mirror. Okay, I've heard about this. Let's see what this is. The emergency signaling mirror is approximately 3 to 5 inches and consists of a luminized reflecting glass mirror, a black cover glass, and a sighting device. It is used to attract the attention of passing aircraft or ships by reflection, either in sunlight or in hazy weather. The reflections of this shatterproof mirror can be seen at a distance of 30 miles at an amplitude of 10,000 feet. Although less effective and with possible shorter range, mirror flashes can also be seen on cloudy days with limited visibility. To use the mirror procedures, okay, so the odds of you having a signal mirror are really low. So let's not go into that. But that sounds cool. So basically, you're trying to shine a light in the person's eyes so they can, like, oh, what's there, and then look and see it. Next, number 4. No 7 identifications, oh, sorry, indications, I don't know why identification, for the need of an immediate rescue. 1. The person has stopped breathing. 2. The victim has severe bleeding. 3. The victim is being electrically shocked. 4. The victim is having a heart attack. 5. The victim is on fire. Let me see. 6. The victim is drowning. 7. The victim has been poisoned. Alright, guys. Indications for the need for immediate rescue. This seems obvious. You can see when someone is in trouble. Know 6 procedures to follow before moving a victim from a life-threatening situation. Although the requirement is for only 6, we represent 7. This allows the student to forget one of the principles and still meet the requirement. Okay, so let's say this is number 1. The first task is to assess the whole situation and to plan the rescue. So we've spoken about this. You want to help you and the person. So you cannot put your life at risk of the person. I mean, to a certain extent where it's not going to kill you. So make sure you are well thought out, right? Take a step back. It's okay, take a minute and see what you're about to do. Number 2, be sure you can perform the rescue or without injuring yourself. I've said that before. Make sure that moving the victim will not cause additional injury. Okay? Know where you intend to move the victim before lifting them. Or I don't know why they have him there. Anyway, if bystanders must be used, it is essential that they be briefed in thorough detail on what you want them to do. Number 6, unless the danger is immediate, any first aid should be given before moving the victim. Alright. And number 7, if you suspect a spinal injury, do not, guys, do not move the victim. Spinal injuries, we've spoken about this when the brain and behavior, paralysis, you know about paraplegics, quadriplegics. That's a rough life. Okay, that's a rough life. So try and do as much for the person as you can without moving them. Because when you see the person, can you hold my hand? Can you grip my fingers? Feel the grip they have on your fingers. See if they can move their toes. That's the kind of stuff you have to do. Same time you checking their breathing, all kinds of stuff like that before you move them, so you know you're not doing more harm than good. Know 5 principles involved in moving a victim from a life-threatening state. Did I just read that? No sister moving a victim. Hey. Oh, the 5. Oh, so I have 5 procedures of it. Now it's 5 principles. Okay. Number 1, be sure that it's necessary to move the victim. If not, do not move the victim. So if it's not necessary, do not move the person. Number 2, know how you'll move the victim before trying to. That was in the first study before. Number 3, know where you will move the victim. That was before. Be sure that you're able to lift the victim before lifting them. If the victim is too heavy, drag him instead. Alright. Maintain your balance. Do not start the move with an unbalanced position. That's common sense, guys. Number 6, keep your footing throughout the move. Alright, so number 7, know the proper ways to help a victim without assistance in the following. Pulling the victim. The shoulder drag is accomplished by placing the victim in a supine position, laying on his back, grasping the clothing behind his shoulders, and dragging him in the desired direction. So the blanket drag can be used to move a person who, to the severity of the injury, should not be lifted or carried by one alone. Place the casualty in the supine position on a blanket and pull the blanket along the floor. Always pull the casualty head first with the head and shoulders slightly raised so the head will not bump against the floor, trying to prevent any bleeding, intracranial bleeding, guys. B, lifting the victim. All right, so you have a nice diagram here. So you grab under the arm, you lift them up, and give them a hug. I don't know what's happening in C here. I guess you put them over your shoulder, kind of. Put the arm over your head, put them over your shoulder, and you carry them. Always spoken about, make sure you can carry the person, and make sure you start off in a good stance before you do that, because you can do more harm than good. So there's also this, the back strap carry. Okay, assisting a victim in walking. So one arm over, you have the person around the waist. Yeah, know the proper way to help a victim with assistance in the following ways. Two rescuers can remove a victim by sitting him in a chair. Oh, yes, that's smart. That's true. So rescuer one facing the back of the chair, grasping the back, upright, and rescuer two facing away from the victim, reaching back and grasping the two front legs of the chair. Both rescuers tilt the chair back, lift, and walk away. Okay, so we've seen this. The fore and aft carry. Let's have arms. Seen that in movies. Okay, so we've also seen this. That's okay. I don't know how to do this with my own hands. It looks like, okay, so you need 4 persons here. It looks like you need 4 persons. Is it 2? It's 4 persons you need there. Okay, but yeah, the blanket carry. That makes sense. Just put the person in the blanket to carry them. Okay. The 3-man lift, the 6-man lift. Okay, next, how to properly use a stretcher and carry a victim on a stretcher. Know how to make an improvised litter. All right, so that looks like the blanket carry basically. That looks like the blanket carry. Improvised stretcher made from rope. This seems interesting. So they have a long piece of rope, and you can do like a kind of wave, a sinusoidal kind of wave. Sinusoidal. I might fancy it. My tongue is nowhere today, like Jesus. Okay, so you do this, and then you put the post. That's very creative, guys. Okay, that's very creative. So next, know how to properly use ropes and tie the following knots. Okay, so I taught you guys the sheep bend and the square knot and the surgeon's knot and the sheep shank and bowline. So you should know these knots. What steps should be taken before reporting a lost person? What information will be needed in reporting a lost person? How is a search for a lost person conducted in a wilderness area? Okay, this should be important. I guess we're going to camp one day. So before reporting, children, if at home, check your home carefully. Contact your child's friends' houses and your neighbor's house quickly to see if your if your child is with one of them. If at a store or mall, contact management and security and have the child paged. If needed, many stores today will lock down until all people and places are checked. If in a public space, do not panic. Try a high spot such as a chair or table to get a better vantage point, and contact the facility management if no one is there. So gather yourself and be prepared to provide information to the police that will be relevant to the search of the child. Adults must be missing for 24 hours and sometimes 48 hours before a report case can be filed. Contact known friends, work, hangout places before reporting a missing adult. Adults who are mentally unstable for any reason or in any need of medical or medication for survival can normally be reported immediately as missing. Okay, so those on outings. If you are expecting loved ones to return from an outing from which they are overdue, be sure to contact their various phones and their home before the authorities. If this is travel, some delays may be caused by weather and other circumstances, blah, they go on. What will be needed? It's in a physical description, they describe what you need here. I'll link this so you can read. I'm actually getting really tired. Searches. So you read this, guys. You read this. In wilderness areas, searches are conducted in an ever widening circle normally. All available resources are used, including hunting dogs, aircraft, search hikers, and mounted search personnel. When a person is lost in the wilderness, there is rarely any expense spared in the search for the person. If details are known about intended camping sites and hiking routes, then teams will be sent to investigate these locations directly, while others are sent into line of sight search patterns, where from the best known location for the missing person was outward, with each searcher being within sight of the next. Okay, so this is basically the things you have to do for yourself, guys. Um, so this ends all our honors. Basically, from now on, I'll be sending bookwork, and we should be done. We should be done. You are now health master honors. Okay, both you. You are now health masters. Why am I saying health master? You are now health masters. I'm very proud of you guys. Um, yeah. Hope you guys go far. I've been sending work. I'm going to do the work, guys, so you can finish this book, so you can get your pins and your honors. I'm pretty sure not many people have been working as hard as you guys in this quarantine for their honors. So thank you very much. Okay? Bye, guys.